Well, in a sense that's a moot point because John Key has ruled out that as an option. So politically it's not tenable. Politicians have said in the past that licensing is not an option. And for that system to work, you would need to understand how many fishes there are in New Zealand, so you'd need a licensing system. So politically it's not tenable. It would be very expensive because you'd need a massive infrastructure. There's 600,000 fishes we think in New Zealand roughly, at least there were in 2012. So that would require massive infrastructure to keep track of that information. But I guess from the work that's been done with surveys in the past, we know there's a lot of memory-related biases. People don't like to report bad trips. Often they report the catch of co-fishers, but often they just can't be bothered unless you prompt them on a regular basis. So I don't think from a human basis it would be reliable. So when it comes to voluntary reporting, the problem there is you get people giving you information and you don't know how to scale it. So you might have 100,000 people telling you something voluntarily, but you don't know 100,000 of what? Is it of a million people? Is it of 500,000 people? So you can't scale that. And the people that give you the information voluntarily, are they an average fisher? You know, they're probably people that are very keen on fishing, very happy to talk about their experience, and so you could end up with an overestimate of the catch. No, I'd like to say what we do is really good, and we've had international reviewers come over and they've said what we do is world class. Most countries overseas, they use that offsite approach where you ring people up, you ask them questions. But those methods, the way they've been implemented, are often very unreliable, and also they rely on telephone books. But of course, as we know, fewer and fewer people are listed in the telephone book. They're going to cell phones or over the voice over internet protocol through the internet, and so they've got a real problem there long term. And the one reason why the NRB survey is so good is that they go face to face, and so people's dwellings aren't going to disappear, they'll always be there. So a few years ago we did two surveys at the same time which were fundamentally different. My survey was based on people on boat ramps and counts of boats from the air, and that's what I call seeing is believing science, where you count what happens. The other way that was done was basically they went face to 30,000 households. From that they could work out how many fishes were in the New Zealand population, and they got people to report in on a very regular basis, and they're able to scale their catch up. So one is seeing is believing. The other one is basically a very controlled and structured interview type technique, and the reason why we're confident with that is that they got very similar estimates, so we think we're in good shape for the future.